I I tried to put this up last night, and for some reason, it was not broadcasting to my Facebook business page. It may not be still. I'm not sure exactly what's going wrong with Restream. Um, it's been happening ever since we had that moment where we all got thrown off Facebook like last week, and I'm not sure how to fix it. I will hopefully get it fixed at some point, but you guys are just going to have to watch my live videos from the YouTube channel for the time being. So hopefully some of you can see this via YouTube. This is the full moon, which is tonight in the sign of Leo. So this is a pick a card. It's not necessarily made. It is, okay. It is made for the full moon in Leo, but it's not only necessarily needed to be used during the full moon in Leo. Ideally, if you can, you want to, but it's just kind of a pick a card to sort of let you know maybe where you're at, what you might be like needing to work on, release, let go. That's the concept from these full moon series that I'm going to do every full moon for this year. But it's not necessarily like you have to watch it on the full moon in Leo, but ideally there's some indication. The stones that I've chosen that are hanging from the tree, this is stone number 1, stone number 2, and stone number 3. These are the pendulums for the full moon in Leo. I chose these stones because I associated them sort of with Leo traits in a way. Certainly the colors, you know, the fieriness of the sun, and then we've got these reds, oranges, and browns. To me, it made me feel like these were good stones or good pendulums to couple with the Leo reading. I don't think I'm going to tell you what they are until you guys pick the pendulum for the group that you're going to be in. Again, this will be group number 1, group number 2, and group number 3. If you are watching this live, you want to choose very quickly. Because I will be going into the readings in a moment. And if you are not watching this live, you can certainly put the video on pause and then look at the pendulums and decide which one is calling to you or which one you feel most drawn to. If you come back and rewatch the video and you feel drawn to a different pendulum at a different time, that's completely fine. That message may be for you at that time. So that's kind of how all of my readings are supposed to work. They're more about when you find them and utilize them is when it's most ideal for you. It doesn't have to be. Does that make sense? There's a whole lot of flexibility around this. They are broad spectrum readings, so I do speak in broad terms. That way they can reach the most amount of people possible. So keeping that in mind, take what you need and leave the rest. If things don't make sense in the reading that you've chosen or it doesn't seem to resonate, that's completely fine. It doesn't mean anything's wrong or broken. It just might mean that you're working on something different than the majority of the people that are watching the video or that, you know, what I've seen in the cards. Never take anything that I say over that of a professional in their field. Just for your own safety, always trust like doctors, lawyers, and therapists first and foremost. Trust your own intelligence and intuition above all else, and utilize my readings to sort of help you, but not necessarily make the decisions for you. If you make any decisions in your life after having watched any of my videos, those decisions are 100% your responsibility, okay? So now that we've gotten into all of that, let's get into full moon in Leo, right? Full moon in Leo, full moons are all about releasing. So this would be an ideal time to start to release whatever we, you know, maybe we want to change, isn't working for us, or what we feel done with. Things that are working for us, we can also be ready to, like, you know, release and let go and start something new. So we can be working on releasing a lot of different things, right? The sign of Leo is a fire sign, so it's going to be about taking action. Leo is also extremely extravagant, very much generous would be a good energy to associate with Leo. It's a generous energy. It's a sociable energy. It's, you know, buoyant and fun. And I would say probably the least aggressive of the fire signs, right? Not that the fire signs are so aggressive, but I kind of feel like Leo is the most sort of friendly, happy-go-lucky in a way. That's sort of how I perceive Leo. Each of you may perceive the energy of Leo differently and utilize your perceptions over mine anytime. But so these are things that we want to kind of maybe attach to, connect with, channel through our space during this full moon transit, and bring about new changes and stuff, and releasing with like sort of maybe an optimism or a generosity or a gratitude. Like these would be good qualities to have during this time. All right, so let's get into this. So the first card for each deck, I've paired each a specific deck with each stone with each pendulum. So, and I'll explain a little bit as to why. And then I'm also going to do the qualities of the stone that you've chosen. So for each pendulum, I'll read something because I wrote down some of the qualities, and that's why I paired them with certain decks. I don't know what the cards are for what I've pulled out from each of the decks, and we'll get into this now. So if you haven't chosen your pendulum and you're watching this via the upload on YouTube later, other than the live, then please pause the video at this time. For those of you that are watching live, you guys are going to have to go through the entire video with me, or you can always come back and rewatch it later once it's fully uploaded. All right, so this first card is from the Moonology deck, which I like working with this full moon during these full moon readings. So this is going to give us an indication of sort of what's going on for those who chose group number 1 during this full moon cycle. Now, here we go. Group number 1, you guys chose the stone of aragonite, I think is how it's pronounced. I'm not sure. I'm not super familiar with this stone. What I loved about it is it felt really old to me. Like it felt earthy, these brown tones. It just felt, I love the striations across it. And so when I asked, when I was at this little fair thing, and this crystal shop had these there, I asked what was the principles of this, and they told me. And so I said, oh, I want that, right? So this is what I got. It rules over sort of the nervous and immune systems, right? This stone, it works really well in working with those different systems. And it helps to like exemplify patience, acceptance, and self-discipline. It brings about grounding. It can bring about insight and strength. It can support your concentration, your practical ability, and it helps you to make choices based on logic and reason versus that of emotion. Okay, so I kind of like that as also group number 1. So those of you that need a little bit more practicality in your life, a little bit more a grounded stone as you go through this transit from this full moon to the next, this is why you maybe chose this pendulum. You might be seeking to be a little bit less emotional at this time. That would make sense with this. But I love the earthiness of this stone, and I think that it represents really well with the deck that I've chosen. Now, here is the Moonology card, and this is the Balsamic Moon. It says, a time for healing. For me, when I look at this card, I love how it's got this pinkness and there's a new sort of moon emerging. When we're in a full moon stage, hold on, I need to keep the dog out. You all need to go. I'm sorry, I love you, but you need to go. I can't deal with the snoring. Don't bite at my foot, just go. Go on, everybody. Come on, I'm live on video, please, guys. Thanks. Okay, sorry about that. I love the softness. I love the new moon that's emerging from this, meaning that as we let go of whatever we're sort of transiting or letting go in this full moon cycle, we get to sort of bring about something new in its place, and that's exciting to me. Sorry, I'm gonna move these over a little bit. I had trouble when I tried to film this last night. Everything fell over. I don't think you're going to be able to see this first card because it's going to be hiding behind it. All right, so let's get into the tarot and see. I'm just going to sort of flip all of these cards and we're going to see what happens. So we have the King of Cups. We have the Queen of Cups, or Countess of Cups, I should say. The Nine of Swords. The Ten of Swords. I did shuffle the deck, guys. The Nine of Coins, which would be like the Nine of Pentacles. It's the first time I've ever seen the Nine of Pentacles as a man. The Countess of Staffs, or the Queen of Wands. The Knight of Wands, or the Knight of Staffs. We have the Two of Pentacles, or the Two of Coins. He's giving me Fool vibes, to be honest. And then we have the Eight of Wands. So I feel like during this transit, when we lead with this King and Queen of Cups, I really love that both of them are up there together. They are very much emotional, right? And so with the Aragonite and it being about like leading with a more practical, natured mind, that sort of a thing, I feel like it is going to be. We might find ourselves coming into this full moon in a little bit more of an emotional, intuitive, introspective kind of state. I don't necessarily get a bad feeling from this King and Queen of Cups. I like that they're both present here and they're right one following after the other. There's a nice balance between the two of them. So ideally, maybe this is a period for us to get ourselves into a state of emotional balance or in a state of a union with our emotions. If we're feeling disconnected or maybe we're feeling emotional and feeling some sort of shame or sadness around that. I kind of feel like at the beginning of this cycle, we may want to sort of let go of any preconceived notions we have. I do love that this Queen of Cups and this King of Cups feel regal to me. They feel in union. Some of you might actually be in a union where it feels sort of together, but I'm going to say this, with that 9 and 10 of Swords following it, things might be a little bit dicey for you. In your actual relationship, there's some sort of struggle that's going on in that 9 and 10 of Swords to me that feels. The 9 of Swords is usually about nightmares, anxieties, fears, paying too much attention to those sort of things or the thoughts that bring those things on. I don't necessarily like that, but I think that from this, we end up gaining some sort of awareness or independence from either our thoughts or our anxieties, our fears. And the reason why I say that is that we see that reflected here in this 9 of Pentacles, right? The 9 of Pentacles to me is about sort of abundance, but also about self-sufficiency, about feeling independent, feeling connected, feeling grounded, all of that. And I feel like this is actually the card where the Aragonite or the magic of that Aragonite really starts to fall into place. It's like once we've done the early part of the work around our emotions and then our mental space. Now the other dog is snoring. 1 second. All right, everybody needs to leave. I love you all, but like we spend all day together and the snoring babies need to go. Come on, babies, because I gotta concentrate. Thank you. I'll be out in an hour. All right, sorry guys. So, I feel like that's really where things kick in. So if in the beginning of this cycle, we're looking at stuff from an emotional standpoint, that's completely fine. I get a really good vibe from this King and Queen of Cups, but I feel like we need to sort of master our emotions. That's also the sort of authority or the awareness that the King and Queen bring, right? Is there sort of like maybe this understanding of who we are emotionally and not allowing that to lead us, dealing with our thoughts in our mind, here in the 9 of Swords, and then the 10 of Swords would be that sort of releasing of it, the closing of that chapter, the no longer allowing the horrors of the past or whatever's happened to us in the past. We're no longer bringing that forward with us into the future. What I like about this is that the 9 of Pentacles or the 9 of Coins here would indicate us sort of feeling that we have everything that we need or coming to that realization, that awareness, whether we actually do or not. And that's the part where I think that some of us might be fretting over, I don't know, it could be, different things for different people. Some of you might be fretting over not having enough money, or how am I going to make this work, or how am I going to not make that work? It may torture you a little bit, and so much so that you're going to have to give it up through that 10 of Swords. But when you do that giving up or that sort of release in a way, we end up at this 9 of Coins, which to me speaks to this idea of feeling fulfilled, feeling like you have everything that you need, feeling grounded, all of those things that I was talking about that Aragonite's attributes would be. It would be about sort of having practicality as your guide, having sort of maybe new options, new opportunities, and being able to pursue them successfully. Moving into this Countess of Wands or this Queen of Wands, I love her because she is fire, which is Leo energy, right? She would indicate to me, I always view her as somebody that unabashedly owns who they are, that she is warm and loving and all of that, but you don't want to mess with her. I mean, look at that sword that she's carrying. We don't want to fuck with that, right? She will cut a bitch, and she's not even the Queen of Swords. But I also feel like I love that she will figure out the rules and understand the rules so that she can bend them and break them to her desire or to her need, right? Without necessarily, hurting anybody in the process, but I like that she's there. The Knight of Staffs or the Knight of Wands speaks to like being proactive, wanting to take action, moving quickly. There could be a little bit of impulsivity with that, but I don't necessarily feel that because it's followed by the Two of Cups or Two of Coins, which is about sort of balance and maintaining a balance. I also feel like this group could very much be moving on to new things in this new cycle. And what I mean by that is there might be a shift in not only how you feel and how you think, but when you get to that state of feeling better, feeling more in control, you can start to manifest the desire or the action that you need to start to begin to take actionable steps towards whatever it is that you need, that in whatever area that is that you need it to be new. I know that's vague or big and expansive, but what I mean is each one of you, this is going to be something different, right? The reason why the Two of Coins doesn't necessarily, it's more about balance there, but I love that he's on this sort of journey. He's giving me Fool vibes, and there's a split in the road. And it's kind of like we get to choose which path we take. So if we're feeling a little bit sort of caught right now, that would be the Nine of Swords that we see up here, where we're feeling a little bit maybe tortured, upset, worried, anxious. Through this sort of process of healing that happens and this sort of self-sufficiency we see here, this practicality that comes in, it enables us to start sort of dream again, desire again, want to take action. And we're empowered by the Queen, and not only the Queen, but we have the Knight too, who loves to be in service of the Queen. So we have, again, this sort of masculine feminine balance where there's a lot of court cards in this reading too, which is interesting to me. Sometimes court cards can represent people outside of ourselves. So there could be fire signs impacting some of those people in this group. There could be water signs impacting. So we're talking about Pisces, Cancer, or Scorpio, male and female, and vice versa. We've got Leo, Sag, and Aries going on in these two cards here. But if this is all just about aspects of you, right? Because I kind of look at the full moon cycles about aspects of ourselves and what's being shown to us. I feel like in the latter part of this full moon cycle, and this cycle may be different for each one of you as far as timing wise, you could be seeing sort of an opportunity or a focus more towards what you desire and the willingness to sort of take the steps towards that. As you begin to take the steps towards that, you take, again, we've got this Pentacles energy, which would be that Aragonite energy, which is about balance, grounding, and maintaining that balance, but also traveling new roads, making new choices, and moving towards those things in a productive sort of measured manner. What I love is this ends out on a fire sign card or a fire card, the element of fire, which is the Eight of Staffs or the Eight of Wands. The Eight of Wands can indicate movement, right? Swift movement, quite frankly. So we might decide what it is that we want in this group. You might decide at some point throughout this cycle, you see things a little bit more clearly here and you're ready to sort of take action and move towards it. Bending rules if need be, not taking no for an answer. Certainly that would be a Queen of Wands answer. She's not going to allow you to tell her no. Neither should you in this group, guys. And maintaining that balance, being even a little bit sort of maybe impulsive about how you go about things will help to move you forward. Just making sure that as you move forward, you stay sort of in that balance and that opportunity that we see in the Two of Pentacles. Some of you, this could be about money. This could be because we see the Nine of Pentacles and the Two of Pentacles. But we also have it's an interesting balance of, we have a few Swords cards. We have almost all of, everything is represented here with the exception of, we have every suit here and 2 cards of each, except for Wands is 3 cards. So this is a nice balanced cycle for everybody is what I feel like. I don't feel, other than the mind, let's just say that. The mind cards here are a little bit rough with the 9 and the 10, but the 9 and the 10 to me indicate that we're coming to fruition or understanding or an awareness within our own mind and our own thoughts about where we are no longer serving ourselves, where we are maybe getting in our own way, where our fears are stopping us. I do like that we have the strength of the emotions in the King and Queen, and we also have the strength in the desire or the action of the Queen of Wands and the Knight of Wands. So this group should be about kind of really, to be honest, I feel like this group is probably fighting the fears of their mind, and that fear could be really working you, and you need that aragonite to sort of balance you and bring you down out of that fear, to ground you into practical thinking so that you can move through everything. I almost feel like your emotions, the only emotion here that really I sense is this fear. And this fear manifests itself in that 9 and 10 of swords. It's our mind that's our worst enemy, guys, in this group. Our emotions are actually really good with the king and queen. And our desire or our action taking can also be very good during this period with the Queen and Knight of Wands. I think that we want to be aware of what we're thinking and how we're thinking, and we want to sort of change that. And that's what we're out to heal in this cycle, what we want to let go of so that we can create sort of that abundance. When I see this 8 of Staffs at the end, or the 8 of Wands, to me, this is about forward movement towards a goal, taking that action, getting excited about it, moving towards it, not allowing anything to stop us. Really feeling ready and prepared for that because we've done whatever healing we need to do, or we've removed whatever thoughts or fears or feelings that we have that are standing in our way. Does that make sense? Now, the last card is from this Crystal Wisdom deck that I've yet to use, but this is the stone that was on the front of it. I love this because it just is a big red stone, and we see some of that red reflected in here and in the 9, but I also like that we have the red of the pomegranates, and I just associate this with the fire signs in general. So let's see what stone this is. Sunstone, empowerment. I am empowered in all areas of my life. So we want this to sort of be your mantra for this cycle. And this to me would also speak to Leonine energy, in the sense that Leos really don't sort of take no for an answer in that way. You know, they really do have powerful sort of egos, and that is it can be a downfall for them, but it can also be a very big gift. And so what I like about that empowerment of the Sunstone is actually, it's funny because one of the pendulums is actually Sunstone. So that's kind of odd. You might want to watch the 3rd reading because that is a Sunstone pendulum up there. That would have been perfect if that showed up for the Sunstone reading, but of course not. But I like that it says I'm empowered in all areas of my life. And I feel like this is us about getting to that state of empowerment through that 9 of Pentacles, through the strength of the Queen of Wands, through this action of the Knight of Wands, and then the balance of the 2 of Pentacles and the movement of the 8 of Staffs. So that's towards the latter part of this cycle for you guys. You're going to have to deal with some of the thoughts in your mind. That's really the key here, and that's what you're seeking to heal. I hope that makes sense for this group. That is your group 1 reading. I am going to clear away the cards. Remember to stay empowered. Remember to believe that you are empowered in all areas of your life. Don't allow that fear to seep in. If it does, know that it's time to heal that and to start something new in that area, and soon you'll be well on your way. All right, so I'm going to clear this away. Thank you so much for tuning in, and I'm going to start group 2. I can't believe they got the Sunstone card. That would have been perfect for the last reading, but oh well. If the last reading gets Aragonite, I'm going to be pissed. I'm just kidding. All right, come on, Queen of Cups. She's a pretty Queen of Cups. Okay, now let me get this out of the way and let's go. I'm going to take that down. All right, so now, hi, group 2. Thank you for tuning in. For those of you that chose group 2, this is the pendulum. This is carnelian, okay? So I'm going to talk a little bit about sort of the principles of carnelian and why it's up here. I chose it because it's got this beautiful red color, which made me think of fire, full moon in Leo, all of that. It associates mostly with the kidneys. So that's, if you need to know that, that area of the body might be a focus for you at this time, or it might be an area you want to send a little extra love to during this cycle. It helps with trust, and it also helps with determination. It can also help with empowerment, focus, and luck, and it can be essential in promoting love and passion and career success. So let's see what the cards have to say. Ooh, all right, we'll take it. Full moon in Aries. All right. So to me, Aries energy would be all about taking action, maybe even being a bit impulsive in our thoughts, not taking no for an answer. Full moon to me feels like, let's go. It says, oh, I forgot, a fiery climax approaches. Who couldn't use a fiery climax right about now? I certainly could. But to me, this could mean a little bit about just sort of taking no prisoners, going after what it is you want, allowing it to come to you. When we talk about this, the carnelian stone promoting love and passion and career success, the fiery climax in the full moon in Aries says to me, we're at our full power and we're willing to sort of take the risk or take action to move towards it, even if it's sort of like, to me, Aries can be very impulsive isn't the right word, but like, I don't know if impetuous is the right word, but in a good way, right? They can be sort of demanding, but they get what they want, right? And so when I think about this, I love that it's in line with the full moon that is in Leo tonight. It's just a little bit more of a demanding energy that comes from Aries. Aries can be slightly stubborn, but they also can be very dynamic and move very swiftly. And so I like that as your guys' signifier for this group. So let's see what the cards that come out. Now, the deck that I used for this group is the Grimalkin Tarot. And I just felt like it fit right with the Carnelian. It is a cat deck, which I wanted to honor the Leo quality of having a cat deck involved in this. So we have the Devil. Wow! I love it with all the mouse traps and the cheese in the cat's mouth. That's hilarious. We have the Hanged Man. Let me just slide this back just a little bit. Come on. We have the Two of Cups. We have the Two of Wands. Ooh, this group has got some shit going on. We have the Five of Swords. We have the Fool. We have the Four of Pentacles. We have the Page of Pentacles. And we have the Seven of Swords. There's some treachery up in this bitch. All right, and then this is your crystal card. I'm gonna just put it here. I don't know what it is yet, but we're gonna just put it here to look at it. I think it might be clear quartz, but I'm not 100% sure. Just judging from the picture, but we'll see. But let's just set that up there until we look at it at the end. All right, so I feel like there's a bit of treachery going on in this reading. Let me see here. Where do I want to start? The Five of Swords and the Seven of Swords don't indicate a lot of fun to me. Five of Swords is like a hard-won success, and the Seven of Swords is like sort of the liar, cheater, stealer. There's a thief in amongst us, or there's somebody that's not telling us all of the truth. A fiery climax approaches. Full moon in Aries. I get a feeling when I'm looking at this, I don't like these cards. It's not that I don't like them. How do I want to say this? All right, Devil would be Capricorn energy. The Hanged Man is Piscean energy. The Hanged Man is usually stuck. There's usually an illumination coming from the Hanged Man, but we feel maybe trapped or stuck in something. For some of you, I feel like this group is about relationships only because we see that Two of Wands and the Two of Cups right here and here. To me, it makes me feel like there could be some sort of drama involved in that. I don't want to be predicting bad things for people, but I do sort of feel like a sense of like weird foreboding to this. The devil usually indicates sort of wherever we are at our weakest, right? The devil kind of wants to point out to us sort of the thing that we're not doing, that we're not saying, that we're not seeing, the thing that we're maybe doing too much of, if it's like an addiction, that kind of a thing. Some of you in this group might have issues with that, or you might have a loved one, i.e. the Two of Cups and the Two of Wands. You could have a loved one that's involved in too much of that sort of activity or behavior, and it's leaving you with a sense of feeling stuck with that Hanged Man, right? Where you're not sure what to do, what decision to make around their behavior, how to handle it. I do feel like with the Two of Cups and the Two of Wands, both of these sort of feel connected, or there feels like there is a connection, a romantic connection involved in this group. I don't feel like it's the easiest road with this connection for the group, though. That's indicated in the Five of Swords and the Seven of Swords. There might be a relationship that needs to be released, a relationship that is no longer good for us, a relationship that we might still have feelings towards, that we might still feel connected to. But this fiery climax is that we have to be maybe stubborn, or really sort of take the action that we don't really want to take, but we need to. When I look at this too, the Fool, which would be sort of Aquarian energy, or I think he's associated with the planet Uranus, is, to me, it's like a new beginning, but we have to be willing to sort of step away. Because I'm thinking about it in context to the full moon in Leo. We have to kind of let it go. And only then can we sort of start anew again and start the journey again. There are unfounded sort of dangers. When we look at this Fool card a little bit more closely, we see this crocodile down in the water. So to me, it's like we might be fearful of letting this person go for some reason, or disconnecting from them for fear of, you know, will they come back? Will they be okay? Can I, you know, will I find somebody again? But let's be honest, I don't feel like we're having the best of time with that Hanged Man and the Devil up in the top of this reading. It feels like, to me, we've maybe come through with this person, even though we care about them, it feels like it's been a hard journey, or not the easiest of roads for us. And we're still kind of, with that Five of Swords, to me, it feels like these are hard-won either arguments, fights, and it's just not serving us anymore. And I think that the Fool, to me, during this cycle for this group, indicates that we need to be willing to take that new journey, even if we're fearful of doing it. We need to be willing to take those steps. We need to take that action that's offered to us in this full moon in Aries, which would be about, you know, maybe it might feel impulsive, it might feel like change needs to take place, but we have to do it. The Four of Pentacles could indicate to me about trying to hold on to something a little bit too strongly, or a little bit too closely. And then the Page of Pentacles can sometimes be about breadcrumbing. And that also makes me feel like a little too little, a little too late, meaning like this relationship or this connection, as intense as it may have been in the past, or what we feel is like is driving us with the, I feel like these two cards are almost a repeat of each other. Like the Two of Cups and the Two of Wands. To me, they feel very much intertwined, like it's an acknowledgement of this relationship and the intensity of it, but it may not be at the same sort of level as it once was. And I feel like it feels like a back and forth to me. And then when we look at this Seven of Swords, I kind of get a feeling that, and I hate to say this, you guys, but I kind of get a feeling that there's some sort of truth or a lie. There could be cheating going on in this relationship. I have a feeling that this group may find something out to that effect, or, you know, maybe you have found those things out. The Devil certainly would also indicate those things too. Like he's brought things to your doorstep, or this person may have brought things to your doorstep that were, you know, unpleasant and not fun. And I kind of get a feeling that this group has maybe not acted out in their best behavior at all times with that Five of Swords in there. We know that something new needs to take place. We know that something new has to transpire or change, and we're unwilling to do so. That I get that not only in the Hanged Man, we maybe don't feel as though we can clearly make that decision, but also the Four of Pentacles feels like we might be holding on a little bit too strongly. In too much resistance to change. We might be holding on to whatever breadcrumbs we're getting from this Page of Pentacles. In the end, with this Seven of Swords at the end of this group of cards, it just sort of feels like to me there's something that, even if we've experienced things in the past with this person, there is something that is going to come out that is going to sort of be undeniable. And I kind of get this feeling of why, and that could be the fiery climax that approaches, that like if we stick around, it's almost like this feeling like if we don't take our out at the Fool, right? If we don't take our out and change things by the time the Fool card comes into play, then we're going to be holding on to like too little too late. We're still going to be receiving too little too late. They're still not fully all in the game either, coming in as the Page. And then we're going to find out more about their behavior, and it's going to not be pleasant. It's going to be even worse for us. That's my feeling with this group. I don't know if that makes sense for you guys. Let's look at the crystal. So this is sort of, it is clear quartz. I have clarity in all aspects of my life. All right, so that would be your mantra for this group. I feel like that clarity that you seek, hold on one second, you need, because, and I'm going to point out to you the reason why. I feel like we're also talking about the carnelian would be a great stone for your first and second chakras, to cleanse your first and second chakras, which would be, your second chakra would be about sort of your sensuality, sexuality, your connections to others in that way, your dreams. Your first chakra is about survival, right? So if we cleanse those out with some of this carnelian, I kind of feel like this is about not wanting to let go of another person. This having clarity in all aspects of my life, we want to have that, but we see there's areas where things could be very unclear here. We have the Devil, it could be unclear. We have the Hanged Man, is certainly about like trying to make a choice or a decision, trying to find the answers and feeling stuck. The Five of Swords also indicates sort of, it's to me, it's like not necessarily feeling good, right? That it's not a clear card by any means. The Page of Pentacles could even indicate a little bit of not being clear. The Seven of Swords could also certainly be like not being told everything, or feeling like we have all of the answers. This clear quartz is sort of telling us that we need to like maintain that clarity. The only clarity that I sort of see in this reading, aside from the clarity that I see in the Two of Cups and in the Two of Wands, which to me, the Two of Cups is definitely about emotional attachment, feeling connected. And the Two of Wands could be about two different things. One is about that sort of desire for one another and that feeling connected. I even think that for some of you in this group, this connection could be a very serious connection in the sense that it feels soulmate-ish, but it's not the most healthy at all. I mean, I'm just going to say that right out of the gate, because I don't like the Devil. I don't even, and the Hanged Man is not necessarily a bad card, but to me, it coupled with the Devil and everything else that's going on in here, it just feels like this is fraught with a bunch of like stuff. And you guys are holding on to what it once was or how you feel deep down inside. And just because they feel like a soulmate doesn't mean they behave like a soulmate. Ooh, damn. Can we get that on a t-shirt? And so, and they're not behaving like a soulmate. And I get this feeling that this is them and this is you. And I know that sounds really specific in the sense, but I feel like this Five of Swords feels like you acting out towards them or bashing them, like aggressing towards them, fighting with them. Maybe you win these fights with them, or you get them to do what you want them to do ultimately, but in the end, it doesn't really fulfill that like need, or it doesn't comfort you in the way that you seek, right? That Devil is looming up here, and the Seven of Swords says to me, they're still up to no good. They're still not necessarily doing, and I also feel like with that Five of Swords, like to me, this cat feels guilty for like blaming this dog, right? I wouldn't be so surprised if some people in this group have a partner that's like maybe cheating on them or doing drugs or whatever, but whatever they're doing, it's like, so you forgive them, but you badger them a little bit and you make them feel bad, and you think that that's going to make you feel better, but it really doesn't. And so the only thing that I think that is like your way out here is this Fool card. And even then I sense this fear that if I walk away from this, what does that mean? And then it's funny too, like the phrase in my head right now is the devil you know is better than the devil you don't know. And I see that devil card up there in the corner, and it makes me think, I wonder how many in this group say that to themselves in regards to this relationship. The clear quartz clarity tells me, this card here tells me that we need to have all clarity in all aspects of our life. And for some reason in this relationship is not clear. It hasn't been clear. The one thing that is clear is that it's not bringing you what you need. Although I think that you clearly can understand maybe that this person is significant to you, but they may not be ready for you, or you may not be ready for them. And to me, even when I look at these Pentacles cards down here, they're not enough. This is like we're starving ourselves. I hope that makes sense, you guys. I think that as far as a fiery climax goes, that's probably one of the most negative readings I've ever given. It's not that it's negative. It's, to me, it's like, it feels like a decision needs to be made about somebody that we really care about. And this could be a romantic person, obviously, with that Two of Cups up there, but this could be, say, a friendship too, that we just can't do anymore. I mean, this doesn't have to be a romantic relationship. This just definitely feels like a relationship for this group. It could be a family member that's no longer healthy for us. And as much as we love them and we care about them, like the fighting with them is just taking its toll on us and our own self-esteem. And so we need to seek something new. We need to trust ourselves that if we stand on our own 2 feet and we be independent, we move forward, we can avoid any more sort of fiery climaxes or blowouts or anything like that. I will say this, with any of my readings, none of these things are set in stone, right? So, but this to me would be the group that might want to like overhaul their relationships, or during this full moon release, like really assessing their relationships and how the time is spent, or how the time is received by the partners that we're in relationship to, whether romantic or friendship or whatever. And because I think that sometimes when I look at these cards, I sort of feel like some of us might be acting out in ways within the relationships that actually harms us too. That's the Five of Swords here. I feel like this card feels guilty or bad, because like maybe you find yourself fighting with this person because they've hurt you. And so you seek not necessarily a revenge thing, but like, I mean, and it's a trap too. I have to say this, because this is where the clarity is missing for these people in this thing, is because you're hurt, right? Or they've hurt you, because there's honest love and connection here and desire to, like, both of you to be at your highest point. And this is you not being at your highest point because you've been hurt by them in some way, let down, lied to. I do think that I will say this, with this fiery, with this full moon in Aries, taking that action now, coupled with this being a full moon in Leo reading, speaks to me about the fact that this would be a really good time to release this, because we've got like not only the full moon in Leo in reality, but we've got this card that says full moon in Aries, which is about like, okay, double full moon, double release, let this one go, because it's really not serving you. And that's the clarity that this clear quartz wants to provide. We want to recite this mantra, I have clarity in all aspects of my life. That will help you to make this decision, to sort of change this. Even if it is a karmic dance, I will say that. I will honor the fact that in the Two of Cups and the Two of Wands, it does feel tied or intense. But that's not enough to allow you guys to continue to sort of duke it out. Does that make sense? I hope that makes sense, guys. If anybody is watching this and they're like, oh my God, he's totally talking to me, or I need more insight, you can always contact me for a private reading and I can read your relationship with said person. Again, this is broad spectrum for, you know, whoever chooses this group. So it may not resonate with you, or it may, if it does, that's great. Utilize it in whatever way you see fit. But there is an option out. There is an opportunity to not only gain clarity, but also to release all of this in the full moon in Aries. There's also the opportunity of the new beginning that the Fool brings, but we have to be brave. That's my feeling. I feel like the Fool is the only door out of this. And it's funny to me because the Cat in the Fool card is still watching all this drama go down. Even though he's supposed to be leaving the party. Like, even though he's supposed to be heading towards that new beginning, he's like, oh, what do we got going on over here? Ooh, who did what to who? That's what he looks like to me. He's like looking over the boat edge, like going, tell me what's going on over here. We want to like take our attention off of this stuff and steer our boat in the opposite direction. That's really the feeling I get here. But I'm not here to make these decisions for you guys. So you make these decisions for yourself. I hope this makes sense, group 2. Stay grounded in that carnelian. It will help you. It will bring about success and prosperity and all of those things. But we also don't want to be hurting ourselves or others in the pursuit of that. All right, so I am going to go to group number 3. Thank you so much for tuning in. If you enjoyed the video, please hit the thumbs up button and tune in next full moon for the next one. Ideally, I'll do this better next time and get it up a few days before the full moon, but day of is not bad. So let's see here. Maintain that clarity, group 2. Clarity, clarity, clarity. All right, so now for group 3. Hello, group 3. Now you guys chose the 3rd pendulum, and this is Sunstone. And obviously, for obvious reasons, the reason why I included this in the full moon in Leo reading is because it's Sunstone, and Leo is very much associated with this planet of the sun, right? So I thought, oh, perfect, Sunstone will go perfectly for the full moon in Leo reading pendulum. So for those of you that chose this, the area or the like sort of medical area that this has to do with is your metabolism or your digestion. So maybe look at those things during this month. That might have been what drew you to this pendulum. Or not this month, but during this cycle. And this cycle will be different for each one of you as how long you're in it. It helps with enthusiasm and emotional support. It also helps with originality. It can bring about opportunities. It reveals your true potential. It can attract fame and unexpected prosperity, which those are very much Leonine traits or desires, and increases feelings of self-worth. So I love that stone. Like, can we just get this stone in like mass quantities? All right, so let's see what the full moon, the Moonology card is for you guys. Okay, I'll take it. A time to give rather than take. The new moon in Virgo. So what I like about new moons are about building, right? And sort of like full moons are about releasing. So when I think about new moon in Virgo and I look at the green color of this, the time to give rather than take, to me, I feel like this might be about giving to ourselves because of the green color, right? The green indicates healing or the heart chakra to me. And so when I'm looking at this, I think instead of like maybe the people we may want, we can certainly give to others. And I think that always helps us, but also remember to give to ourselves. And the reason why I say that is because the sunstone is so associated with like sort of self-worth and just taking care of oneself, I think would be a good thing to do for this group. We'll see what the cards have to say. Virgo would be very grounded, very, it being an earth sign and stuff like that. So I kind of like that too. It brings us back to nature, connecting with the earth, connecting with ourselves, and also building upon those connections through this full moon cycle, releasing anything that stands in the way of that and not allowing for that to take place. All right, so for this deck, I decided to use, because it was such an opulent stone, like, fame and prosperity and self-worth and all of these, like your true potential was in the definition of the sunstone. I decided to use the Gustav Klimt, I hope I'm saying that right, deck. It's very opulent and beautiful. I did an unboxing of it, and I thought this would be perfect because it's so rich and extravagant and very much leonine. So I was like, okay, this will be group number 3 and go with the sunstone. So let's see what cards come out. We have, I can't read these. Second. The Knave of Swords. So the Page of Swords. These cards are like gorgeous, like so pretty. so slender and thin. We have the Five of Wands. We have the Lovers. We have the King of Cups. God, I love these cards. They're so pretty. We have the Queen of Pentacles. We have the Four of Pentacles. We have Judgment. We have Temperance. We have the Knave of Chalices, which would be like the Page of Cups. Wow, this is like a theater full of people, if I'm really like looking at it. We've got two knaves, we've got a king, a queen, we've got 3 major arcana out of 9, so 1/3 of the reading is like major arcana. And then this is your stone. I'm thinking this is citrine, but I'm not 100% sure. We're going to put this up here and we'll read that in a moment. All right, let me look at this for a minute. So 5 of Wands. I kind of feel like as I'm looking at this, when I look at the Sunstone is about sort of finding our own self-worth and that sort of a thing. And then I look at this time to give rather than receive, right? Rather than take. And I'm thinking about the concept of giving to ourselves. I love that we have the King of Cups and the Queen of Pentacles in the center. To me, I feel like this is us grounded. This is us emotionally secure, like connecting with ourselves, like in this Virgo energy and the green healing, that would be the Pentacles, but also the healing aspect of the heart, which would be the King of Cups. And I love that we have a Queen and a King there. And I love that they're complementary energies, right? As far as earth and water, right? They come together. And so to me, they make a nice bond right in the middle of this reading. The reason why I say that is they're sort of surrounded by a bunch of other stuff that is actually fairly positive, I feel like. When I'm looking at Temperance, Temperance is a Sagittarian energy, but it's all about sort of maintaining that balance and that peace. And ultimately, we see that also here in this time to give rather than take. The Knave of Swords, I'm not going to touch him just yet. And the Five of Wands, I don't want to touch her just yet because I know that the Five of Wands is kind of like the fuckery card. So that kind of we'll deal with that in a moment. But the Lovers up there also is indicated by, to me, that's a very sweet, loving card, major arcana. It feels very connected. But when I'm thinking about the connections, some of you, this could be about a sort of a strange love connection, right? Not strange, I shouldn't say that. But with the Lovers followed by the King of Cups and the Queen of Pentacles, that could indicate this could be a period or a cycle where it's time to sort of let go of any preconceived notions we have and maybe open ourselves back up to the idea of love and making that choice, right? The Lovers can indicate a choice. To me, though, if this is more of a personal self-focused reading, this could be about falling deeper in love with ourselves, right? Understanding who we are and finding more acceptance for ourselves, right? That's also about building this worth and giving that time and that healing or whatever to ourselves versus allowing others to take it from us, right? And that Page of Swords and then Five of Wands could indicate that we were caught up in some of that sort of stuff leading up to this cycle, right? And the full moon in Leo energy is going to want us to honor ourselves and pat ourselves on the back, acknowledge ourselves, stoke our ego. And I don't mean that in a bad way. I mean that in a good way. Like, love yourself, treat yourself first, put yourself first before anyone else. The Knave of Swords to me could indicate not necessarily doing that or not knowing how to do that at a mental level. And the Five of Wands certainly could indicate being caught up in other people and maybe their dramas or whatever's going on there that doesn't allow this group to sort of feel that wholeness or that completeness. With this new moon, remember, we're building this relationship with ourselves. So it starts at that Lovers card, right? So when we start to sort of fall in love with ourselves or give ourselves more credence and acceptance, that's when we open up the door for the King of Cups and his love to come in and the Queen of Pentacles and her love to come in, where we're able to ground ourselves, we're able to become more emotionally stable. And there's just a real beauty and a connection that happens here. So sort of, I would say maybe mid-cycle, right? And again, this cycle for each one of you is going to be slightly different, but it's about sort of, I don't even feel like that Knave of Swords at the very beginning is a bad card. I feel like it's just about educating ourselves and where our thoughts are at and how we perceive maybe ourselves and how we treat ourselves. And do we put ourselves through sort of unneeded dramas? That would be the Five of Wands, right? Do we make ourselves live up to expectations that don't even really belong to us? They're just what other people expect of us, and they're not even really the reality. Well, when do we start to sort of love ourselves enough to allow ourselves to step into our true emotional state and our true sort of grounded state of practicality and really like treating ourselves first, like the royalty that we are? Those are the feelings that I get, right? Then we get to this Four of Pentacles. To me, this is just strange for a Four of Pentacles. I know what the Four of Pentacles traditionally means, but I kind of feel like a lot of times when I think about the Four of Pentacles, I can think of it as being a very stable card, because I always think of fours as being, you know, four legs on a table, bring about stability, right? They stabilize the surface. And Pentacles being about sort of the earth energy, right? To me, it feels like stable upon grounded, right? So it can be that. When I look at this woman in this card, though, she has this sort of all-knowing face. It's sort of funny. She looks slightly crazy to me, but she's looking at me like, bitch, you know this. You know you need to do this. Like, get your shit together. And I don't mean this in a bad way, but what I mean is just like, just embrace yourself. I love all of these stars behind her head. Like, she feels connected to the universe in this card. It's a really strange card because it's not necessarily a traditional Four of Pentacles meaning for me, but I love how she sort of has this all-knowing smile and kind of like, I feel like she's in on the secret, if that makes sense. And so being in on that secret is like, okay, group three, it's time to sort of give to ourselves and understand who we really are and fall back in love with ourselves and allow that to be sort of our calling, right? And I'm going to get into that in this Judgment card, right? Allow that to be our reality and stabilize ourselves in that. Bring that about as a reality and make that and hold on to that, okay? Because that is very much holding on to something too tightly would be the Four of Pentacles. But what I think about this is not about holding on too tightly, but let's hold on to this as our new reality, as our new foundation, as our new stability. I also see fours as sort of foundational in a way, right? That brings me to the Judgment card, which is also major arcana. Judgment to me is about like answering the call, like showing up. Spirit's usually involved. There's like this sort of like evolution or graduation that takes place with the Judgment card. It's kind of like, it can mean a lot of different things, but to me, the Judgment card definitely represents sort of that hearing the call of on high and really aspiring towards that or growing towards that. So to me, this group feels like as we adopt these like new ways of seeing ourselves or these honoring them and really, you know, acknowledging them and uniting them in a way within ourselves through this like king and queen, this male, female, masculine, feminine balance and appreciating all of it, we answer the call of this Judgment card. And to me, the major arcanas are going to be very profound cards, right? So the Lovers and Judgment speak to this idea of being asked to make a choice, right? This group is like being asked to make a choice to put ourselves maybe first during this cycle and to do that in a way that allows for us to really, I want to say just like really own it in a way, because and part of that is that self-worth that we see in that sunstone. It's about really understanding that we deserve this group. Okay. This temperance card to me is about maintaining that even further through the temperance is the sign of Sagittarius, right? But it's also Sagittarius is about sort of expansion and sort of benefic good luck in a way. It's about maintaining peace. The card definitely is about maintaining peace, maintaining calm, keeping things status quo. But also, there's this blend, right, with the Temperance card between the King of Cups and the Queen of Pentacles. Right. It's about during this cycle, can we maintain that sort of balance of emotion and groundedness and practicality? Yes, we can. And yes, we need to. And temperance will help us to do that. And from that help or from that peace, from that, I always see temperance as sort of like a delicate energy, but from that maintenance that takes place in the temperance card and the honor of that, right? There's a sweetness and a softness to temperance that when we honor that within ourselves, we expand that and we reap sort of the benefits or the good luck and the blessings that come from that, right? And then the last card, which we have, is the Knave of Chalices or the Page of Cups. To me, he's probably next to, if I'm being completely honest, I would say the Star is probably my favorite card. And I would say the Page of Cups might be my second favorite card. I love him because he's usually very magical. There's an exuberance to the Page of Cups, and there's a freedom, there's a sweetness, there's a outside of the box thinking that the Page of Cups has. He's usually depicted with a fish in a cup that he's talking to, which most people would think he's crazy, but he's on a whole nother wavelength. And it's almost childlike in a lot of ways, but it's open and it's connected and it's loving and it's all of these things. And so when I think of this as the sort of maybe the ending card, where we kind of end out, like through this balance and through this acknowledgement of who we are and this deepening of this love, I feel like the Knave teaches us or tells us that we can continue to fall in love with ourselves as we move forward. We can continue to sort of appreciate ourselves in new ways that we didn't otherwise see or that aren't necessarily honored by normal day-to-day society. Right. And he allows us to sort of see the magic in things again. He allows us to sort of feel complete and whole again, where we can sort of not only be, that Lover's card could represent falling in love with ourselves and honoring ourselves first and foremost during that cycle. But as we do that and we turn that in on ourselves, we're also find it all the more easy to also share that out into the world. And that would be the Page of Cups for me too. Right. So to me, I feel like this Judgment card and Temperance are very much, even though they're major arcana, it's about, with this group, the answer or the call needs to be answered within ourselves. And it's coming from deep from within, right? From our spirit. That's certainly reflected in Temperance too. And when we start to see that spirit come through, that's sort of the exuberance, the enthusiasm, the magical connection and emotional sort of youthfulness of the Page of Cups. That's what I feel like is going on for this group. I hope that's the case. I hope you guys feel connected to this because I feel like this is a really lovely sort of reading of bringing oneself sort of to a state of equality, unity, and I'm talking about within oneself. And that to me is just beautiful. All right, so let's see what the word is from the crystal card. So your mantra is, it is citrine. I was right about that. Citrine would be associated with the third chakra. Abundance. I am aligned at all times with the abundant energy of the universe. This powerful energy flows through me into every aspect of my life. And so when I think about that, that looks like that sort of smile that Four of Pentacles has. She knows she's connected to those stars. There's an awareness that this group will come across, I feel like, through that King of Cups and that Queen of Pentacles energy, the Lovers, all of that, where we start to understand and get to build upon, like we see in this new moon in Virgo, we will build upon this understanding of the abundance that we have within ourselves. And when we do that, as we exemplify that, as we answer that calling, we continue to keep that balance and maintain it. we actually open the doors for more of that to come in and more of that to come in, and we align ourselves all the more with whatever is going on in our world, around us, towards us, with us, all of that sort of stuff. Does that make sense? And so I hope that's the case. I feel like this group is going to get, with that sunstone also, it said something about it reveals your true potential, and it can attract fame and unexpected prosperity. That could be the abundance that's in that citrine card. I'm not saying like, y'all need to go out and wait for your wallets to get fatter. I feel like there's something deeper happening here, especially in the King and Queen of Pentacles in the center of this reading. There's this beautiful self-appreciation that happens within here. When we start to vibrate at that place, the rest of our environment appreciates us and honors us in that way too, because that's what we're emanating out. Does that make sense? I hope that makes sense. That is, and I think that also too, that would be something that, the sign of Leo would greatly appreciate and value, right? So I think that that would be a beautiful thing for us to sort of, let go of anything that stands in our way of that and build upon that through this new moon in Virgo card about it's time to give rather than take. So what can we give to ourselves? And how can we give it so that we can find ourselves within ourselves to be a more sort of complete and whole person, exactly as we are in the moment, right? I don't see that there's any work that needs to take place here, in the sense that the only work that I see for this group is that the Knave of Swords needs to learn a little bit more about how to think better, and the Five of Wands needs to just take herself out of here. Like, we need to not get caught up in the drama anymore, or the dramas of the past, we could let those go. Those could be certainly things we could release in this full moon in Leo, and step into that energy of the Lovers, that sort of mental energy of, that is Geminian energy, right? Which is the air sign energy. So to me, that coincides also nicely with the Leo full moon, right? Air and fire are very complementary, but also it's sort of like the graduation of that Knave of Swords into the air element of Gemini, which would be the Lovers, and that appreciation of ourselves and those around us. I hope that makes sense, you guys. That is your full moon in Leo. Sorry it took me so long to get it up, and it was, I tried to broadcast it last night, and I couldn't get it to broadcast correctly to Facebook, so it will only be available on YouTube for now, and I'm sorry about that. I'll just put up an announcement on my business page on Facebook. If you're watching on YouTube, please hit the thumbs up button. It greatly helps me. Subscribe to the channel if you feel so inclined. I will be doing these every full moon, and I have a daily forecast every day. Most of you know that. You can always tune in for that. And the monthlies have gone up for February for all of the signs. You can find those on the YouTube page. And I'm hopefully going to be back doing some free reading nights soon. I've had house guests, so I'm waiting until that sort of, we'll see. Yeah, I have a couple of house guests right now. So, but I will see you guys soon. And thank you so much for tuning in. And have a great day, you guys. All right, take care. Bye-bye.